Hey guys, this is Louis bringing you another modeling 101 video. In this case, I'm gonna be showing you how I make mud using nothing but baking soda. Now, there's a lot of manufacturers out there that they sell products to make mud or already made fake mud, for your models. I'm talking about, AK Interactive, for example, Vallejo, Meek Productions, Tamiya even makes some. And they're great products. I actually have some. But in this case, I'm gonna be using nothing but baking soda. Why? Because it's cheap. Sometimes we don't have access to those products and we just want to make real nice and easy type of mud that we could apply to our models. So what do you need? Well, in this case, of course, baking soda. And what we have here is two tones of earth tones from Vallejo. I have dark sand, believe it or not. This is the dark sand. I don't know why they call it dark sand, but it's just a sand color. And we have flat earth. They're both from Vallejo. Over here we have buff XF57 from Tamiya. Now you can use a lot of things to create the mud. Okay, let me show you how I do it. Now this is one way of doing it. You just pick a little bit of baking soda and you apply it directly to your paint, just like this. Okay, and now depending on the viscosity or the how thick you want your mud, you could add more paint or you could add more baking soda. I mean, it depends all on your liking, In this case, for example, I'm just gonna mix a little bit of baking soda with the paint. Okay, so to dilute it more, now if you could see, let me bring you guys in the other way, right there. Okay, so if you guys could see, I added more baking soda on this type of paint, making it more, making it thicker, On this one, I'm kind of in the middle, and on this one is real thin, it's really thin. I could make thinner mud by adding a couple drops of water, maybe a little more right here, maybe a little bit more right here, and that's gonna change my consistency of the mud. It's gonna make it more runny, you may say. It's gonna make it just kind of like dirty water kind of mud. It depends on your liking. I mean, you could add more baking soda. Another way that I make mud is just using regular dirt that you could just get at, outside or when you go to the beach or something, you pick up a little bit of sand and that's your mud right there, and just make real mud just using water. But most of the times when I use that, let me zoom out. Most of the times where I use that, I use diluted white glue. Okay, that also helps, just helping, with helping the paint stick to the model a lot. And and when you use white glue, it also gives it that wet effect. So I'm gonna be using that. But in this case, we're going to be using my KV1 model, okay, as a subject, just for the test. Let me zoom out. And you know what? I decided that I want real thick mud, so I'm just gonna add a little bit more of sand. I'm sorry, of baking soda. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. But just a little more, okay? And what that's gonna do is just gonna make my mud a lot thicker. You know what I mean? You guys could see it's very thick, you know? Now, if you're making, because there's two types of mud, you know, there's the dry mud and there's the wet mud. Dry mud it tends to be lighter. The drier it is, the lighter it gets. Wet mud, it's darker, but you could achieve different type of mud effects if you want. Now all I'm using here is just my brush. That's all I'm doing, and I'm gonna zoom you guys in as soon as I'm done. But I'm gonna start with the lightest mud, and I'm just gonna apply it. And another thing that I would recommend is first of all, use a brush that you don't care for, okay, because it's gonna ruin your brushes. But use a lot of reference pictures, see how the mud is getting formed, I just added water here just to make it more runny. I want to make sure that it's runny, so all I'm doing is just adding mud at this point to wherever I want to, It's pretty much just gonna be covered in mud all over. Okay. Then I'm gonna wait for it to dry. And then I'm gonna be using the darker mud to represent the wet mud, and for that I'm gonna be diluting the dark mud with the white glue. That way it also gives me that wet effect, like I'm doing right there. Now this is gonna dry super flat. That's the baking soda makes it flat, or depending on the paint that you're using. If you're using a glossy paint, it's gonna dry, glossy or semi-gloss. But if you're using flat paints with the baking soda, it's gonna make it like that flat, and I really like that for dry mud, So I'm gonna leave this to the side. I don't want to bore you guys to death with that, and I'm gonna show you one of my models, and this is the effect. Now, if I can remember correctly, I used buff, nothing but buff, so it's a light, dusty kind of mud. But if you could see right there, this is the effect that you get out of that. This is just baking soda with the with the paint. That's all I used, and I used it on the bottom. You guys could see, and that's the effect that you get, with the baking soda and the paint. And that's it, guys. I just wanted to show you guys that tip really fast. It's easy to make, it's cheap, and it's fun. Okay, so my name is Luis. I'll see you guys on the next video, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.